Hey guys, and welcome back to A&J Education YouTube channel. In today's video, we're talking about the IELTS exam. So if you potentially need to do it in the future, or you've heard of it and you're not sure if this applies to you, keep watching. Alright guys, so let's dive straight into this. We're very fortunate to have Joanne, who joined us here today. Hi Joanne, how are you doing?
Hello, nice to be here.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So Joanne, first of all, what makes you qualified to talk about the IELTS exam?
Well, firstly, I would say my 23 years experience in teaching it, starting in South America where I worked in bilingual schools, and then the private lessons I had. Most of the students were looking to study in universities abroad. And that's when I started teaching IELTS. The format was very similar in those days. It's changed very little. But yes, I've been teaching it for about 23 years.
Wow. Well, guys, you've come to the right place. So, all right. And what is the IELTS exam and why would you need IELTS?
Okay, so the IELTS exam, IELTS, the acronym, is the International English Language Testing System, used to be testing service. And it's basically to test speakers of foreign languages who wish to either live in the UK or any other English-speaking country, study in an English-speaking country, or use their qualification, their degree, to work in an English-speaking country. The IELTS exam consists of 4 components. It's testing your ability to read and understand, your reading comprehension, your ability to speak fluently enough but not fluent as an English speaker, writing academically, and listening to make sure you understand. As I said, most of the students that come to me is because they want to study in a university in another country, and so they're looking for scores. The band scores between 0 and 9. There's no fail. 0 is if you fail to show up, but the rest is there's no non-pass. Most of the students need between a 6 and a 7.5 overall, with a 6.5 average in each component.
And of course, that depends university to university. So
yes, it does.
So you guys should check, don't just rely on this, check the individual course requirements. And some universities have different IELTS requirements for different subjects. So some subjects have more stringent requirements than others. So do not just rely on this video, do your own background research. Okay, and how long is the exam and what are the actual components?
So the reading component lasts an hour and there's 3 parts, 3 reading tasks. They're quite long, but this is where a bit of instruction is needed because you really need to learn how to skim and scan your reading to find the correct answers. What most people do when they're given a reading paper is they read and then they answer the questions. What generally happens is they have to read it again to find the answers. So we teach them techniques similar to that of university, because in university you would have 20 books and be told to read up on a certain piece of information. You're not going to read 20 books to get to that information. So you have to skim each book to find that information. That's what we teach you to do. The 3 parts go progressively getting harder. And you're allowed an hour. Provided you stick to the techniques and the methodology of doing this, then you will get through it quite quickly.
Okay, so it's an hour-long test and it's just reading?
Reading takes 1 hour.
Okay.
Then we have a listening part, which consists of 4 parts.
Okay, and how long is that?
And that will take about 40 minutes.
Okay.
A speaking part is a 3-part test, and it's about 15 minutes. And then we have a writing, which is 2 tasks. One should take 20 minutes or less, and the other should take 40 minutes.
Okay.
But you should concentrate. I always tell my students to do the essay first and then go to the report, because one is more heavily weighted.
Guys, you've got the total length of each section on your screen right now. So I think it's very clear from what Joe's saying that it's really important to have the right technique and don't just chance it, but approach it in the right way. And if I understood you correctly, you can be a good speaker, command English well, but you can still, you may still fail to get a high score on the test because of the timing issue.
Yes, I think we also need to teach, like as teachers, we try to teach our students to reproduce the lexical resource, which is the vocabulary. Most students have good receptive skills, but their productive skills are lacking. So even though they can converse and be understood, they're not able to do that academically. So my job as a teacher is to get them to reproduce the vocabulary that they learn, which it doesn't take that long, surprisingly, but to use it in writing doesn't take that long. It takes a little bit longer with speaking, and that's what the examiner is looking for. They're looking for them to reproduce vocabulary that is academic, higher level, the same as they do as if they were using it in their own language. That's the key. This is what's key here for the two productive elements of this test.
Got it. Got it. Makes sense. All right. Sounds good. And Joe, what would your, just taking all of this together, I know it's impossible to fit it into a short YouTube video, but could you just give us, as we're wrapping up, top 3 tips on what our viewers can do, practical tips to get a high IELTS score?
I think because there is so much resource now because of the internet, definitely writing needs to be researched. Students need to look at the higher band scores and really take into account why they're getting the higher scores. Definitely have some instruction, even if it's just a little bit of instruction. But the most important of all is practice. You cannot just do an hour with a tutor and think, that's okay, I've done my lesson. No, practice, and reproduce your vocabulary. That will give you the higher score.
Okay, Joe. Final question from me. The world and his wife are teaching IELTS, and there are courses and programs and tutors everywhere, classes one-on-one. In my experience, majority of them suck. So how can you tell? How can you find the right instructor? Who's qualified, who knows what they're doing, and how do you separate, the good from the mediocre or bad?
I think if you're looking for an instructor online, there are various like tutor platforms. Definitely look at reviews. The reviews and recommendations that the students themselves give to that tutor will tell you everything. Yes. Then speak to the tutor and find out. I think with regards to courses, unless it's one really recognised course, like an International House or a Cambridge recognised course, I would avoid them, because what I've found is most of them come back to the private tutor afterwards anyway. Yeah. So either go for a one-on-one, which I think is highly productive, or I don't know. I don't think you should go for the courses unless it's recommended.
Almost sounds, at least I can think of one of our students who you're teaching now, who went for the courses and then ended up having extra lessons with you because they taught him the wrong ways of doing the IELTS. So ended up being more expensive and more time consuming for him.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing, it's the time. Most people, this is another thing I'd like to add here, don't leave this to the last minute. Because this is something that lots of students do. They say, I need it in a month. Help. How do we do this?
Don't leave this to the last minute. That's what they'll write on my tombstone, because I say this every day 5 times.
Yes, I imagine. But yes, don't leave it to the last minute. Don't waste time. Do your research before you find who you're going to learn with. You won't need a lot of practice or a lot of tuition for reading, writing, or reading, speaking, or listening. The one that takes a lot of teaching is writing. Okay. Very difficult to get a high score.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it. Makes sense. Joe, this was wonderful. Guys, I hope this was as useful to you as it was to me. If you need IELTS support, get in touch. Joe has a really packed schedule, but if you need help, do reach out, see if Joe can help. And if you haven't already, do sign up for my newsletter that I send out every 3 weeks on tips and tricks for university admissions and information on unique CV building events, conferences, seminars, workshops that you can use for free to build up your resume. As I said, I share it once every 3 weeks. It's free of charge. It's an absolute no-brainer, and it's got so much useful info that you'll be wrong not to subscribe, given that 4,000 other students and parents already do. But for now, Joe, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And take care.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.